Well, today here at DX Engineering, we're very excited to have Dennis Motschenbacher, K7BV, visit us here in Talmadge, Ohio. Welcome, Dennis.
Thank you, Tim. I'm glad to finally be here.
Dennis, you've been all over the world and in this hobby for a long time. Where is the most interesting place that you got to operate amateur radio?
Oh, boy. You know, there's been a number of them, like you say. I think I'm going to say East Timor, which at that time was just going through a war there. Mm-hmm. And we got in about a number of weeks after, and there still was a lot of things that were burning and smoking as we were there. And W3UR had just pulled out a little while before us. But it was pretty remarkable. And the reason I say it so strongly that this was the place was, it's the first time I was sitting there late at night doing 160. I was in a compound, UN guarded compound, and I was operating, and it all of a sudden just hit me in my head. What was I doing? What am I doing? Sitting here spending all this money, and there's just outside the gate, there's people that were dying. There was children that were starving. And it really hit me big time and changed my thinking about what I was doing for a long time after that.
So what was the call sign and when was this?
It was in 2000, in October 2000, I was with Dick, N6FF, who was a big 160 guy, and that was one of the reasons we went, because the previous D expeditions had done very little 80 and 160. So we went and we used his call 4W/N6FF and my call 4W/K7BV.
Now, most people know you as the face of Yaesu in North America, and we know you've been with Yaesu for, it seems like forever.
It does,
You've been, but they don't know where East Timor, they might not know exactly where that is in the world. So describe where that is.
Well, it's actually, if one were to follow the whole Indonesian archipelago, can you help me with that? Did I get there?
Archipelago?
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go.
The whole chain of 13,000 islands, it's right down at the very end, very close to Australia. Mm-hmm. And that's why the Australians, as a matter of fact, were helping in this particular event where East Timor, obviously there's a West Timor, one island, and the East Timor people who used to belong to Portugal. They were a colony of Portugal. And then they had joined with Indonesia, not necessarily at their choosing, but now they were wanting to break away. So anyway, it's way down south down there. If you read Mutiny on the Bounty, you'll read about East Timor as a godforsaken, terrible disease place, and it really was. There was a lot of things we had to watch out that we didn't catch dengue fever, and did I say that right, dengue fever? I think it is. A lot of things we had to do before we went there. And we actually, several, I think it was 2 or 3 hams, had been killed 2 weeks before we got there. They were part of the World Food Program, and it was a terrible thing because they had been taken out and they were actually chopped up and set afire. So that kind of got our attention, but we decided to go ahead with the trip because the UN people assured us they could provide safety. But what we did do is falsify our website about when we were coming in and where we were going, just to be sure. Just to be sure.
Now, you tend to like some magic things, and the word on the street, it's actually a matter of record, is you like the Magic Band. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about you and your second love of 50 megahertz.
Yes, I was one of these hams. I got licensed in '62, and in those days there was 6 meter AM, and that was about it. And one of my older mentors let me borrow a G50, and I remember I got on in the summer, just by coincidence, not knowing anything, and I found it so fascinating that I was able to talk to hams in other states on a frequency that was really close to channel 2, as all my neighbors could testify. I was lighting up them as well as I was lighting up the band. But I know even at that age I was pretty much aware that I was obsessive compulsive. If I did something, there was only one way, and that was all the way. So I set 6 meter aside, And I graduated from high school, did a couple tours in Vietnam, and came back, and I kept telling myself, don't go. Don't go on the band. At the time I was into contesting and DXing and growing in that world. But when I went to work for the ARRL, I met K9KHW, one of the employees of the AES up in Milwaukee, and he's a big 6 meter guy too, and he got me all fired up that night. And when I got home, I ordered some equipment, and over the next several months, I sold off about 20,000 pounds of ham radio, HF towers and antennas, and just went berserk on 6 meters. And I love it because it's, I like to say it's like a box of chocolates. I mean, 6 meters, you never know what you're going to get. But one thing that's predictable is in the summer, always there's going to be propagation. Multi-hop propagation can be as far away as into Europe or out into the Pacific in the summer, no matter where the sunspots are. And that's what the important thing is, that there's always something to do there in the summer, and it's going to pop in, and you may have a lot of my contact. My most recent one that was really astounding was I was the only person lucky enough to work A45XR. Worked them from North Carolina. Just, I saw some indicators. I heard I saw a spot that he was calling a CQ into. He was being heard in Portugal, and at that time I had some sporadic key into Portugal, and I said, nah, yeah, let me just listen. Sure enough, there he was, and I called him. We made the contact, and he came back to appeared on a chat page a little later and says, Dennis, you're so lucky. You have no idea. That opening was less than like 10 seconds, and the only reason I heard you is because my neighbor's air conditioner cycled off.
Wow.
And that just dropped the noise level enough. And he never heard another U.S. station the entire year.
But to work from North Carolina to Oman on 6 meters.
On Channel 2.
On Channel 2. Just incredible.
It is. It's simply amazing.
And when you talk about magic and incredible things, you've been given the gift of life.
I have.
Yes. And you have a blog that really talks about just how special your life has been as a cancer survivor. And all of us know either somebody in our family or friends that have been touched by cancer, and you are a success story.
It was an interesting experience, and if this makes any sense to you, I didn't want to go through it. I wouldn't choose to do it again, but since I did, and luckily came out of it alive on the other side, I feel so proud, not proud, what is the word I'm looking for? So lucky to have gone through it, because it put me through emotions and opportunities to look through my eyes at the world in an entirely different way. Because I was gone, from the people were caring for me, trying to keep me alive, trying to keep me going. I couldn't talk. I was seeing all of this going on, this compassionate stuff that I thought was going to be really cold. I thought the servers, the medical servers would have to be really cold because they're losing a lot of their patients as well. But I was stunned to find out, to see like a nurse, helping me, and she knew she would hurt me with some of the stuff she would do, and she would have a little tiny tear going on, but just going about her work. And it was so cool to see humanity in an entirely different way. I was lucky that I did survive, and I'll never forget that. But I'll never forget those people either. There was a special type of person who can take care of cancer people that they're going to know they're going to lose a lot. But thank goodness today the treatment is just better and better and better every day.
It is. We live in a very good time where technology and medicine has progressed. And of course, if you want to read more about Dennis's journey, you can go to his QRZ.com listing for K7 Bravo Victor, and on there is the link to his blog. Well, Dennis, we're really excited to have you in today here in Talmadge, and DX Engineering is excited about our new partnership, and everybody will be hearing more about that in the coming weeks and months and years. And here we go, off and running. So.
Absolutely. We're going to have some fun now.
Here we are. So 73 from Talmadge, Ohio, the headquarters of DX Engineering.